Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be my review of Smith Cosmetics brushes. I love makeup brushes. I have reviewed several other lines on my channel before, including Sonia G as well as Wayne Goss, and I purchased quite a variety of the Smith Cosmetics brushes, both face brushes and eye brushes, and I've been using them for several months. They've gone through several washings and I'm ready to share my opinions with you. Before we get into the video, if you're new to my channel, I'm Yori. I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and join me for a future video if you enjoy this one. Now let's go ahead and get started with the video. So earlier this year, I created a video in which I shared 5 makeup brands that I wanted to try this year. And Smith Cosmetics was one of those brands because I love watching YouTube videos and I see a lot of my favorite influencers using Smith brushes, like Brianna Fox as well as Samantha Ravindal, and Raw Beauty Christie has started using Smith brushes on her channel as well. So I was seeing a lot of them and I was very curious to try them. You can purchase Smith brushes on their website, although they do have a pretty high purchase limit in order to obtain free shipping. Although with the price of the brushes, it honestly doesn't take very many to get to that level. But recently, Beautylish started carrying the line and that's when I purchased them. I've purchased a lot of my makeup brushes from Beautylish. They have an excellent payment plan, and when it comes to pricey brushes, that really helps. So I bought a variety of face and eye brushes. I will put the prices on the screen along with close-ups of every single brush and the hair from the brushes. Before we get into each individual brush, I did want to share that these brushes are beautiful. They have gold ferrules and a very distinctive handle, which you'll see probably a little bit better in the close-ups. I think that the only other brushes that I own with such beautiful handles, besides the Sonia G brushes, which are incomparable with regards to the handles, the Makeup Forever brushes have beautiful handles, and so do the Linda Hallberg brushes. They have really beautiful handles, and these are stunning. The handles are all antibacterial treated or coated, so it's really good if you're a makeup artist and you're working on a variety of different people. I did a little bit of research on the company, and what I found on the website is that the brand was founded by a set of makeup artists who found that they were lacking some of the brush shapes and brush styles that they preferred to work with, and so they created their own. Also, the name Smith is not after a specific name of a person, rather it refers to an artist such as a silversmith, etc. So this one is referring to a makeup artist, obviously. So the brand has brushes that are both natural hair as well as synthetic fibers, depending on the style of brush that you look at. There is no information about how the hair is harvested, so I can't really comment on whether or not the brand is cruelty-free. I know that by some people's definitions, having animal hair in a brush automatically would make them not cruelty-free, and I understand that's up to you. So I just wanted to share that. If you have a preference with how the hair is harvested, they don't share that information, and I couldn't find it anywhere online either, so that's just something to note. Another thing to mention is that I couldn't find any information on how the brushes are manufactured. So for instance, when you have a brush like this one, which I'll show you a close-up later, I have watched enough informational videos about brushes that there's a couple of options with how the shape of the brush is established, and one of those, the more expensive way, would be to place each individual hair by hand to create the shape of the brush rather than placing all the bristles all together and then cutting out the shape. So there's no indication as to how these brushes were manufactured, but based with my experience with them, I can only say that for some of the brushes, either they didn't have the best quality hair or the hair strands themselves were cut. But again, I can't confirm that information with anything that I found online. Their website is very basic, and although the displays of the individual brushes is beautiful, there's not a lot of that background information that I was really curious about, especially when considering the price point of the brushes. So let's go ahead and go through them one by one. I do have some hits and misses in the collection. I have washed them several times, so I can let you know how the brushes hold up after washing as well. The first brush I wanted to mention is the Smith 112, and this is their bronzer brush. This one is made of goat hair, and it's a very interesting shape for a bronzer brush. I tried to select brushes that would add value to my collection by introducing different shapes and styles, and I've never seen a bronzer brush this tiny. It's very narrow, but what makes it really special and useful for bronzing or contouring or highlighting, you can really use it for a variety of uses, however you wish to use the brush. But for bronzing, what's nice about it is that even though it sustains its shape really well, if you press down on the bristles, they will splay out to cover a larger surface area. So as you're doing your makeup, it spreads out a little bit and blends out bronzer really well. This brush is designed to be used with powder. I really like this one. I think that this is one of the definite hits from the collection, and I would definitely recommend it. The bristles are soft. They hold their shape very well when washing as well. The next brush I picked up is the Smith 122, and this is the highlighting brush. And this one is designed to use with creams, powders, or gels. And so that's why I was interested in using it. I really enjoy cream highlighting, and I thought that this would be a handy brush to have. It's a very interesting flat shape. It looks like a giant shader brush, to be honest, with very, very short bristles. Now, as I mentioned, this is pony hair. It sustains its shape after washing, and I've experienced just a tiny bit of shedding with this one. I do find as well that because it is natural hair and it is very densely packed, it has a tendency to absorb product. So if your product is very liquidy, you will use your product up a little bit faster. I was using this during my Too Faced Tutti Frutti review to apply my highlighter, and one of you asked me about it. This was the brush that I was using. I like it okay, but it's not my favorite for highlighting, and I find that because it's very firm, if you go in and try to blend out highlight, it can lift your foundation at times. So if you don't wear foundation, this will work really well for creams actually, but depending on how much foundation you're wearing, as you blend out your highlight, it could lift the foundation. So this was not one of my favorites from the line. Similar to that brush is the Smith 124, and this is the contour brush. It's also pony hair, very flat, and this one is cut at an angle or shaped like an angle. I don't know if it was cut or if it was formed that way. Similarly to the 122, I've experienced just minor shedding with the brush, and I find that for cream contouring it's really nice, but it's also dense. So again, I have the issue where the brush will begin to lift my foundation. Whereas if I use something synthetic with a lot less density, I can blend cream contour with my foundation and it doesn't lift. So I think it's just a little bit dense for that purpose, but you can use it for powders as well. And I think that with powders, because of the density, you have a tendency to get a very harsh line as well. So it's good for placing contour, but you want to blend it out with something else, at least with my experience. It's a very unique shape. Again, the reason why I picked it up, but this was not one of the ones that I liked the best out of the collection. Those were the only face brushes I purchased because the others were like foundation brush and a blush brush. So I left those. I was particularly interested in these because they were both appropriate for use with cream products, which I do enjoy. So now on to the eye brushes. The first one I'll show you is this little one. This is the Smith 203. This is a synthetic brush and it's an angled liner brush. I love this brush. I don't have anything similar to this, even though like the shape is very popular. I think the size is actually quite rare. And if you notice, the bristles are quite short down to the ferrule, so it's very firm. It allows for very precise application of gel liner. You can work with this with creams or powders as well. You can use it for your brows because it's small enough to create those hair-like strokes as well. So I find that this is a really nice versatile brush and I would recommend this one. Next we have the Smith 230 brush, and I have to say that this is the brush that disappointed me the most, and it's the one I wanted the most. It's also one of the most popular. It's always sold out, and Samantha Ravndal uses it all the time in all her makeup demos, and Brianna Fox actually just put this in her favorite brushes. It was like one of the first eye brushes that she mentioned, and unfortunately I didn't have a good experience with this brush. I like the shape okay. This one is goat hair, and one of the things I noticed is that the hair is just not that soft, and it hasn't been anything that I've done with regard to washing because it just wasn't soft even from the beginning. And I found that after washing, the bristles splay out and the brush has a tendency to lose its shape. Also, if you look at the brush very closely, the hairs are a little bit frizzy, and I find that because of the way they splay, when you pick up product, it doesn't hold on to product very well. It doesn't apply a lot of product, and then it's only in certain positions on the brush, and when I try to apply it, it's uneven application. And then when I go through and actually go through the blending, it does blend out, but it just doesn't feel that soft on the eye. And at this price point, you could purchase a different brush that would be a lot softer. So right now you see that the brush has a pretty decent shape, and the reason for that is because when you wash this brush, you absolutely have to use one of these brush shapers. I purchased these from Amazon and they're all the same size. I think that it's important to have a variety of sizes. These are narrow enough that it does reform the brush, but then after a little bit of use it opens up again, and then after washing, if I don't use that, then the bristles splay, and that happens immediately. Like as soon as I wash it, I remove the brush from the water and I squeeze the water out of it and the bristles start to splay. I was so surprised. I went looking for reviews and I saw that people on beautylish.com have commented the same thing. So I don't know, the brush is not soft, it doesn't wash well. I can't recommend this one. So the Smith 230 was a disappointment for me. The next brush I picked up was the Smith 235, and this is like a quill brush, I think they call it, and it's shaped kind of like an arrowhead. It's a very interesting shape of a brush. I had the same scenario with the bristles, although I think that these are a lot softer. So I don't know if when this brush was manufactured they just didn't have the highest quality fiber. I'm not sure what happened with this one, because this one is a little bit softer, even though the hairs they do have that frizzy quality to them as well. What drew me to this brush was the shape. Because it's an arrowhead, it's a really nice crease brush. I don't have a natural crease, my eyes are hooded, and so I think that if you have a natural crease and use this brush vertically, this would blend out a crease color so well. If you have larger eyes with a very defined crease, I think that you might actually enjoy this one. And again, if you hold it vertically, it could give you just a perfectly blended crease. You can also put it sideways and then get a more defined line. This one also comes in a larger size, but since I have smaller eyes, I went with the smaller one. And I think the brush is okay, but I think that it's for a very specific consumer. And I think that you would benefit more from a brush like this if you have a natural crease, which I don't. The other brush I bought was a Smith 247. This is kind of similar to a MAC 217 in that the ferrule is a little bit pinched, so the brush is a blending brush, but it's more flat. And this one, again, has the issue with the shaping, the issue with the frizzy fibers, issue with the washing, and this one blends out nicely. I think I like this one a lot more than the 230 because at least with the shape of this one, with the pinched ferrule, it holds the fibers in place a little bit better, and I've had a lot more success with this brush. So again, that's the 247, and the flat nature of it allows me to pat down color or blend out the crease. It's a pretty functional brush. I think it's fine. At this price point, you can purchase a Wayne Goss brush, you can purchase a Hakuhoro brush, which are a lot softer than this one. If I didn't mention, all three of those eye brushes are goat hair. The last two brushes, I'll talk about them together. They're the 256 and the 253, and they are very similar in shape. They have that arrowhead shape, and these are pony hair. These are laid down shader brushes, and I bought both of them because, again, I have smaller eyes. I do like these brushes. These are a lot softer than the goat hair ones. They pick up product really well, and they pack the product really well on the lid. They're designed for use with powders, but I find that even the smaller one to get really close to the inner corner is really handy, and the shapes are definitely unique to my collection. I don't have other brushes that have these arrowhead kind of shapes, so that's really nice to have. I do like these brushes, and these I would recommend, especially the smaller of the two, because again, I have smaller eyes, but if you have big beautiful eyes, then maybe this one would be a little bit better. So the 253 is the smaller one and the 256 is the larger one. If you're interested in seeing the brushes in action, I used them when I was using the Natasha Denona Safari palette, which is my previous video if you want to check that out. I also used them when I was using the Too Faced Tutti Frutti collection, which is another review video that I posted. So you can get an idea of how the brushes perform, but I'm giving you my experience after several months of using them and washing them. So overall, just to summarize everything, they are beautifully designed brushes. They are visually beautiful. The handles are gorgeous. The ferrules are gold, which is a little bit different because typically the ferrules are made in silver tone. Again, my favorites are the 112. I think this would have to be my absolute favorite from the whole collection. I do like the 253 and 256. The quill brush is really nice, the 235, but again, I think this is more for someone with a natural crease. and the 247 is okay. These three I just wouldn't recommend unless maybe you don't wear foundation, and then you might enjoy applying cream, contour, and highlighter with these two brushes. Then you don't have to worry about it lifting your foundation. Oh, I also would recommend the 203 brush, the wing liner brush or the angled brush. It's a really nice one. This one though, the 230, I don't understand. I'm so confused. With regard to the price point of the brushes, they are priced at a Wayne Goss kind of price point, and to me the quality is more similar to the original MAC brushes, which they're kind of priced about the same, but if you can have better quality for the same amount, it's just my opinion, my experience with the brushes. I didn't like the way they splayed out after washing. That was something that I didn't enjoy, but I am definitely glad I have the bronzer brush. Definitely would recommend this one. This was the key winner in my book. So that was my experience purchasing Smith brushes. There were a couple of other brands that I have tried from that video as well, so I will link a couple of those in the cards if you want to check those out. Thank you so much for watching my video. It was just my experience purchasing these brushes, and again, I purchased them with my own money. I do have a lot of makeup brushes in all price ranges, but I do expect that when a brush is $26 to $30, especially for eye brushes, that they perform and sustain their shape a certain way, and not all of these sort of met that expectation for the price point. That's just my opinion with regard to the Smith brushes. If you've tried them, I would love to hear your experience because I need to know if I somehow got a bad batch. That's everything for this video. If you did find it helpful, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Leave any questions that I did not address in the comment section down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you again really soon in a few days on my next video. Bye-bye.